Chapter 1265. As the conversation spread, it naturally reached Gu Qingli's ears. Of course, he did not refute them. He knew that the more he tried to explain, the worse it would get. Plus, the rumors were all true. In the end, the school leaders invited Gu Qingli into their office. The students had been gossiping too much lately and it had affected the teacher's image. Qingli, although society is more open and relationships between teachers and students aren't a big deal anymore, especially when you're in the same generation, you're bound to develop feelings for each other. But, as you know, you've always been the center of attention at this school. Every move you make is watched by the students. Right now, the entire school is talking about you and that female student. Shouldn't you step out and clarify things? Headmaster, there's nothing to clarify. It's the truth, Gu Qingli replied gently. But, you need to think of a solution. Are you really going to let the students continue to talk? Qingli, you also have to think about your future. After hearing this, Gu Qingli laughed. Headmaster, everyone has the freedom to speak their mind. I think we should respect it. You're right, but it doesn't look good. Look, no matter where you go these days, people are pointing fingers at you. Students are always saying things like, look, that professor is messing around with a female student. Don't you feel bad? Not at all. Gu Qingli replied straightforwardly. Headmaster, I've been here for quite some time. I'm sure you know what kind of person I am. If the school can't accept me, then my only option is to stop working for the school. What do you mean by that? The headmaster asked. He could tell that Gu Qingli was implying something. Are you saying that you want to resign? If everyone can't understand my private life, then I have no other choice. Gu Qingli had already made up his mind. If the school became too noisy, his career as a professor would come to an end. The headmaster sighed helplessly and waved his hand. You can leave first. Let me think about it. Gu Qingli nodded his head and left the office. Although people were gossiping about him, Gu Qingli did not feel embarrassed. After all, he knew that this was his private life and he had a clear conscience. However, it didn't take long before Mo Xian's roommates called her to tell her about the rumors that Gu Qingli was receiving. Xian, someone saw you on campus the other day. That's why everyone is gossiping about Professor Gu behind his back. They're saying that Professor Gu's private life is messed up. If we look at it this way, you will have to take responsibility. But fourth brother didn't tell me anything after he came home. Professor Gu is such a considerate person, why would he complain to you? Her roommate reminded her, you should be more considerate. Don't always think about yourself. Professor Gu is having a hard time being alone in school. Okay, thank you for telling me all this. I know what to do now. Mo Xian gratefully hung up the phone and fell into deep thought. Of course, she did not immediately take action. She needed to know what the students were talking about Gu Qingli. So, she sent her secretary to investigate. Soon, she found out about the impact the incident had on Gu Qingli. The initial rumors weren't as bad as they seemed. But, as the rumors spread, they had already turned into rumors that Gu Qingli had slept with a few female students. It wasn't that Gu Qingli didn't have the ability to clarify the rumors, but he didn't like wasting time on things like this. So, when Gu Qingli returned home that night, Mo Xian looked at him unhappily. Brother 4, are you hiding something from me? Gu Qingli went downstairs to take care of his grandfather before he returned upstairs. He then hugged Mo Xian and changed the topic. Aren't you tired after working all day? I'm not tired. As soon as Mo Xian said this, Gu Qingli lifted her in his arms. Since you're not tired, let's do something else. Mo Xian was stunned. By the time she reacted, she had already been dragged into the bathroom by this man. As their clothes fell to the ground one piece at a time, the couple's bodies were finally exposed to each other. Emozian suddenly thought back to the night they had their first time in the bathroom. That night, they also completed the most important ceremony of their lives. Originally, she wanted to pursue the incident at the school. But Gu Qingli's kiss ignited a fire within her. This man was an expert. After that one kiss, he seemed to have evolved and was able to control every part of her body. It didn't take long before Emozian succumbed to Gu Qingli's tenderness. Her face turned red and her eyes became misty. Gu Qingli lost control of his emotions. A moment later, the perfect combination made the couple sigh in satisfaction. On the glass behind the two of them, the perfect shapes of their movements were soon drawn out. This time, they lasted for 2 hours. By the time Emozian lay in bed, she no longer had the energy to ask about the school. She slept all the way until the next morning. By the time she woke up, Gu Qingli had already disappeared. Gu Qingli's intention was clear. He didn't want Emozian to care about what other people thought because it was a waste of time. But, how could Emozian let others talk behind her back? So, Emozian went to work as usual. But, she instructed her secretary to arrange for her to visit the school's principal because Hai Rui might be visiting the school for filming. When the secretary heard this far-fetched reason, she was both amused and shocked. Emozian was obviously spoiling her husband, but she still did as she was told. After all, Emozian was the new CEO. It didn't take long before news of Hai Rui's upcoming filming spread throughout the school. This wasn't something that students were supposed to know about, but Emozian decided to spread the news. I heard that the representative from Hai Rui has come to the school to discuss renting a location. Does a matter like this require a representative from Hai Rui to personally come? I heard he's an alumnus. Not only that, he even donated a few $1,000,000 to the school. TSK, how generous. On that day, in order to highlight her identity, Emozian instructed her chauffeur to drive her family's limited edition Rolls-Royce and was accompanied by bodyguards. She wanted the entire school to know that Gu Qingli belonged to her. Soon, they arrived at the school. Emozian stepped out of the car in front of the students. Her every word and action was filled with experience. This was the power of a CEO. Chapter 1266. Apart from sighing at the sight of the person in charge of Hai Rui, the teachers and students were also surprised by how familiar he looked. Finally, someone reacted, "Isn't that Professor Gu's student?" Now that you look at it, they do look alike, even though they're dressed differently. No way. Professor Gu's girlfriend is actually from Hai Rui. Doesn't that mean we can see a lot of celebrities? Just like that, Emozian swaggered into the headmaster's office. The headmaster was shocked, especially after he discovered her identity. When he thought about how he had previously made things difficult for Gu Qingli, he felt a little embarrassed. Who would have thought, Emozian is actually the heiress of the Mo family? I've truly offended you in the past. Headmaster, in the past, my family wanted me to keep a low profile, so I've never shown my real identity to anyone. But, since I've already taken over as the CEO of Hai Rui, it doesn't matter anymore. Thinking about how Hai Rui needs my school's help, I took the initiative to recommend my alma mater. Headmaster, do you understand? The fact that Hai Rui was interested in them was the best form of publicity. Of course not. We can't ask for more. We hope that all our alumni can contribute to our alma mater. That's good. Emozian practiced Tai Chi in the headmaster's office for a while before she stood up and left. Afterwards, she returned to her original classroom and stood outside the door as she watched the class. Soon, some of the students noticed Emozian. When they saw her dressed like that, they were quite confused. As soon as the bell rang, Emozian's roommates immediately ran over to her. "Why did you come to see us at school? We came to discuss something. Are you here to see Professor Gu? You're so heartless, the roommates laughed before they turned to Mozian. Go to his office. You should be able to find him. I'll go first then. You guys continue with your class. At that moment, the roommates had no idea who Mozian was. Only when everyone started discussing did they realize what was happening. Hey, do you guys know the new CEO of Hirui? The roommates were confused by the question. What do you mean? After all this time, didn't you know that you were hugging the heiress of the Mo family? The new CEO of Hirui. That was when the roommates finally understood. Mozian was a jerk. At this moment, Mozian had completely prioritized her lover over her friends. So, she walked over to Gu Qingli's office and found him preparing for class. So, she knocked on his door and asked, "Can I come in?" As soon as Gu Qingli saw her, he could already tell that she had caused a commotion at school. Didn't I tell you that the rumors aren't important? But, I don't want people to gossip about you, Mozian humphed. Gu Qingli chuckled as he walked over to her and held her hand. Are you sure you're innocent now? At least, no one will dare to speak ill of you anymore. Mozian was confident about this. As long as she changed her identity from a student to a CEO, the way people looked at them would change. Gu Qingli had no choice but to hold her hand and ask, "Are you hungry? Do you want to leave after dinner?" Of course, Mozian smiled. The young couple held hands and shuttled through the campus. The news had already spread among the students. So that's the CEO of Hirui. Will Professor Gu be able to see a lot of celebrities? Can you also see my favorite Zhuangzhuang? I'm so envious of Professor Gu. At this point, Mozian's identity must have been announced to help Professor Gu establish his authority. The campus was still filled with discussions. But, no matter how much they discussed, they only revolved around speculations and didn't have any dirty words. Mozian was very satisfied with this outcome. But, there was now a rumor that Professor Gu was living off a woman. Mozian was helpless. Her brother Four had a high net worth. Of course, Gu Qingli did not allow Mozian to clarify this matter. If he's living off a woman, then so be it. It's not a big deal. These people are really, you should have expected this outcome when you came to school. I simply didn't want you to leave the school because I knew it was your father's last wish, Mozian explained in seriousness. I'm not being stubborn. After hearing this, Gu Qingli couldn't help but laugh. You don't need to explain yourself to me. Even if you did something wrong, I won't blame you. After hearing this, Mozian pounced into Gu Qingli's arms. I knew you were the most tolerant of me. The couple hugged each other tightly and did not notice that Mozian's roommates were trying to kill her. Mozian. You sure made it hard for us to hide it from you. You're so mean. Mozian looked at her roommates from afar and couldn't help but laugh. I was wrong. Unless you give us tickets to the concert, we will never forgive you. As my roommates, you do have this privilege, Mozian winked at her roommates. Okay, go back to work. There's no need to waste your time here because of me. Gu Qingli urged. He knew how busy Mozian was. In that case, let's talk about everything else at home. After saying goodbye to her roommates, Mozian left the school. Meanwhile, Gu Qingli returned to his office. But, as soon as he arrived, his colleagues started laughing at him. I heard your wife is the CEO of Hirui. How impressive. You created such a huge commotion this time because you wanted to show off your power at school. How generous. Qingli, you sure are lucky. But, in reality, Gu Qingli's net worth wasn't much less than the Mo family's. At least half of the properties currently under construction in Beijing were owned by him. But, he did not explain himself. He knew that Mozian only did this because she doted on him. So, even if others said that he was living off a woman, he was willing to endure it. Because of Mo Xian's ruckus, the atmosphere in the school had changed drastically. The people that used to judge him would now visit him from time to time and ask if they could get autographs. Their attitudes were a lot friendlier. From this, one could imagine how attractive the young hunks were to these people. As for Gu Qingli, he was actually quite proud. After all, every single person that appeared on TV now had a new boss. In other words, his wife. With these two words in mind, Gu Qingli felt that it was time for him to do something. Plus, when he was with Mo Xian, he did not use any contraceptives. So, he was determined to have a happy ending with her before he had a child. Of course, not using contraceptives was Mo Xian's request. After all, she wanted a good baby like Xingzhe. But Gu Qingli chose to let nature take its course. Chapter 1267. However, when Gu Qingli first met with Tongning mentioned that Gu Qingli had only passed her test, but he hadn't passed Mo Ting's test. At that time, Mo Ting was sick. So, as soon as he recovered from his cold, he naturally summoned the future son-in-law of the Mo family. This time, Mo Ting sent someone to pick up Gu Qingli without letting Mo Xian know. Although Gu Qingli knew this day would come, he still felt a little nervous when the time came. Mo Ting had been like this for decades, and it was hard to figure out his preferences. As for what he was thinking, perhaps, only Tongning would be able to figure it out. If it was anyone else, Gu Qingli would have made some preparations. But, when it came to Mo Ting and Tongning, even if he tried his best, he might not be able to gain their favor. Soon, Gu Qingli arrived at High Regency. This time, without Mo Xian around, Gu Qingli was a little more cautious, even though Tongning repeatedly told him not to be nervous. Mo Ting was in the study room. As he had not fully recovered from his flu, Tongning did not allow him to leave. Although he had only caught a cold once in 3 to 4 years. Go in, Ting is inside. Gu Qingli nodded at Tongning and gently pushed open the study room door. Mo Ting, dressed in a black shirt, stood by the window and gazed into the distance. Come in. Gu Qingli approached Mo Ting. This man didn't look much different than he did 20 years ago, but the majestic aura he exuded was obviously stronger than before. Uncle Mo, take a seat. However, he did not look at Gu Qingli. Instead, he looked at the information in his hands and said to Gu Qingli, I've looked at Xian's situation over the past few days at Hai Rui. I purposely gave her a few difficult tasks, but she easily solved them all. I'm sure you helped her a lot, didn't you? Gu Qingli was stunned. He suddenly didn't know how to answer that question. Because if he answered yes, then as an outsider, it would not be good for him to interfere with other people's company secrets. If he said that he didn't, it would be too much of a lie. I can't hide anything from Uncle. But actually, Xian already has a plan in her heart. It's just that she likes to slack off. In other words, he just loved Xian and helped her do what she wanted. I know better than you how capable she is. Mo Ting lifted his head and said to Gu Qingli, I know about your family situation, so I want to know what your definition of family is. Just tell me the truth, there's no need for such pompous words. Uncle, actually, I don't have much of a definition of a family. Before Xian appeared, I went to 2 places every day. I lived like that for 7 years, so I didn't know what a Daoist family was. It wasn't until Xian appeared that I started to look forward to my future with her and children. Gu Qingli replied seriously. Are you running your own company? Some assets. If I demand that you stop being a professor and take out an identity that matches my daughter's, what will you do? Since Mo Ting asked this, it meant that he already knew the reason why Gu Qingli was teaching at the university. Gu Qingli thought for a moment and replied, Xian won't let you do that. She knows that I won't be happy. If I'm unhappy, she'll be able to sense it. That's enough. After asking this question, Mo Ting paused for a moment. Actually, I don't have much of an opinion. The questions I asked were all questions that Xian's mother wanted answers to. Now that she's gone, I don't need to ask anymore. It turned out, Tangning had been eavesdropping on them by the door. Gu Qingli couldn't help but laugh. I don't have any other requests. The Mo family won't allow anyone to bully them. If you make Xian unhappy, then as her father, I have no choice but to make you bankrupt and lose all your reputation. This isn't a threat, I'm a man of my word. You'd better be prepared to accept this. I understand, Uncle Mo. In my opinion, it's best if you don't hold a wedding so that her mother doesn't have to worry. If you want to hold one, then prepare it yourself. Just let her mother and I know when the time comes. Gu Qingli understood what Mo Ting meant. He suddenly felt like Mo Ting's authoritative aura had disappeared. He was simply a man that doted on his wife. He was a good husband and a good father. Of course, Tangning knew that if she hadn't stood in front of the study room, Mo Ting would have told Gu Qingli to take Mo Xian away and never return. What kind of father was that? But this was how things had been for the past few decades. Mo Ting's biggest fear was that his children would drag Tangning down. Although the children belonged to the two of them, Tangning had already worried too much about Mo Ziqin and Mo Zixi. Now that Mo Xian had someone to take care of, he couldn't wait for Gu Qingli to take over. Of course, Mo Ting had already done his homework on Gu Qingli. From his character to his personality to his ability to his status, there was nothing to nitpick about. Most importantly, his daughter liked him. I understand, Uncle. I won't burden Auntie any longer. That's all. You can leave now. Gu Qingli felt things were easier than he imagined. But, in reality, Tangning was still a little worried. Of course, from the looks of it, Mo Xian had good taste. So, Gu Qingli stood up and walked into Mo Ting's study room for less than 20 minutes. Tangning waited helplessly for Gu Qingli to leave before she returned to the study room and muttered, Is the test over? Xian has already been under observation for 4 years. Did you think our test would work on her? I can't do anything about you. Tangning was speechless. It's been so many years. Why are you still so afraid of me worrying about our children? The happier you are, the younger you will be and the longer you will spend with me. Which father doesn't miss their daughter when they get married? You, on the other hand, can't wait to give Yen heir away, Tangning complained. Tangning couldn't help but blame. Actually, Yen heir is already the most worry-free child I know. How could you hand over your daughter so easily? What else could I do? You need to trust Yen heir's taste. Mo Ting said gently. By the way, I haven't recovered from my cold yet. Why do you keep nagging me? President Mo, if you're jealous, just say it. Tangning was helpless, but she still grabbed a jacket from the coat rack for her husband. You're already a grandfather, yet you're still so childish. That's because I can't bear to leave you. Right now, the world belongs to our children and grandchildren. We've made films for so many years and are tired. Why don't we go on a trip? What trip? You're just afraid that I'll worry about our daughter's marriage. I promise I won't get involved, okay? Chapter 1268. It wasn't until later that Mo Xian found out that Gu Qingli had been summoned by her father. When she first heard about it, she thought that Gu Qingli had been dragged away by her father for a fight. After hearing her thoughts, Gu Qingli was a little surprised. I'm afraid, apart from you, no one would think of their family like that. Uncle isn't as scary as you think. Mozien thought about it and realized that the old rascal at home wanted her to get married as soon as possible. That way, he wouldn't have to pester her about everything. So, what Gu Qingli said made sense. Mo Ting wouldn't do anything that would scare his son-in-law away. You made me worry for nothing. I never wanted you to worry, Gu Qingli laughed. You're the one who's overthinking things. But, from what I heard, it doesn't seem like your father wants us to hold a big wedding. Of course, if we hold a wedding, my mother will make a big fuss. Of course, he doesn't want that. Brother 4, what do you think? I'll listen to you. What wedding? You haven't even proposed before. Mo Xian suddenly realized that she was at a disadvantage. Do you think that I'm so stupid that I'm easy to trick? Gu Qingli chuckled and comforted, you're just not guarded against the people you care about and you're willing to give your all to them. That's more like it. Mo Xian was satisfied as she stretched out her hand. Now that we've talked about a wedding, what about a proposal ring? As soon as Gu Qingli heard this question, he pulled out a diamond ring from his shirt pocket. However, it wasn't brand new. This ring was given to my father by my grandfather, but my father eventually gave it to me. You know how much my father means to me, so I'm giving my most important thing to you. Whenever Mo Xian heard Gu Qingli mention her father, her heart would soften. So, before Gu Qingli could say anything else, she grabbed the ring and put it on her ring finger. I agree. Seeing how cute Mo Xian was, Gu Qingli pulled out a real proposal ring from his other pocket and knelt down on one knee. Silly, what do you mean you agree to? I haven't even proposed yet. Mo Xian was a little surprised as she realized she had been tricked. But, when she saw Gu Qingli kneeling on one knee, she did not react. Instead, she looked into his eyes seriously. Actually, the heavens are very unfair. You've known me for 4 years, but I've only known you for a few short months. However, I don't think it's too late. Xian, you have the softest of hearts. You've given me the warmth that I've lacked the most in my life. That's why I want to spend the rest of my life with you, even if we haven't been through many storms yet. Since we've acknowledged each other, then, let me be your husband. Let me take care of you, protect you, and accompany you for generations to come. What do you say? Thinking about the 4 years of unrequited love, Mo Xian couldn't help but tear up. But in the end, she got everything she wanted. I agree, but fourth brother, I have a request. Actually, our family has never held a grand wedding, because a happy marriage has nothing to do with weddings. So, is it okay if we don't hold a wedding and just register it? Actually, Gu Qingli understood what Mo Xian was thinking. So, he held on to Mo Xian's hand and nodded his head. Ceremonies are meant for the elders to see. Since the elders are open-minded, then we should do things according to our own preferences. I don't have any elders in my family and grandfather is like this, so whether or not we have a ceremony doesn't really matter. I'm just afraid that you'll feel wronged. I won't feel wronged. As long as we're together, I won't feel wronged. Mo Xian felt very blessed. Of course, she also felt very lucky. She wasn't at all prepared for Gu Qingli's proposal. While she was in the living room, she received a ring. But where was the flower? Then, when she opened the bedroom door, she was completely shocked. The big white bed was covered with bright red roses. Gu Qingli couldn't help but pull her into his embrace and place a kiss on her chin. Under such a romantic atmosphere, the couple didn't waste their time. So, on the bed covered in rose petals, the couple intertwined and comforted the emptiness in each other's hearts. Gu Qingli had always been a refined man, but when it came to matters like this, he wasn't gentle at all. But Mo Xian loved the look on his face when he was in love. His doting expression made her lose herself even more. The rose petals underneath them were gradually crushed. It wasn't until dawn that the couple finally had their fill. By this time, Mo Xian had already fallen asleep from exhaustion. But, no matter how tired Gu Qingli was, he still helped her wipe down her body and made sure she was comfortable before he hugged her to sleep. It was an unforgettable night for the couple, and it wasn't just because of the proposal. 2 days later, Mo Xian and Gu Qingli registered their marriage and officially became husband and wife. Afterwards, Mo Xian invited a few of her roommates out to meet. When they saw the sparkling ring on Mo Xian's finger, her roommates were extremely envious. "It's great that they got married like this. You guys should hurry up too," Mo Xian said with a happy smile. "But, Xian, you are, after all, the daughter of the Mo family and the heiress of a wealthy family. On the other hand, the professor may be elegant and handsome, but he doesn't have any background. Does this count as him marrying into the family?" After hearing her roommate's questions, Mo Xian couldn't help but laugh. "Who said he doesn't have any background? What do you mean? He's invested in half of the properties currently under construction in Beijing." After hearing this, her roommate's eyes grew wide. "Does that mean Professor Gu is secretly rich?" "More or less," Mo Xian replied. "You're way too lucky. You actually picked up such a good man. You guys can give it a try too." Her roommates clicked their tongues, showing that they knew nothing about the life of a rich man. So, Mo Xian did not tell her family that she and Gu Qingli had registered their marriage. Instead, she simply shared the good news with her friends. After all, even though she and Gu Qingli were married, their lives did not change much. That was, until 2 months later. Mo Xian was so busy with work that she completely forgot when her period was. Gu Qingli had already prepared a pregnancy test and was waiting for Mo Xian to wake up and give it to her for a thorough examination. When Mo Xian saw the pregnancy test, she finally realized that her stomach was slightly protruding. Was she pregnant already? Chapter 1269. Reality had proven that it was easy to be a parent without contraceptives and having sex every night, wasn't it? When Mo Xian saw the 2 lines on the contraceptive stick, she didn't know what to do. After quite some time, she finally realized that she was indeed going to be a mother. Previously, she was envious of her father, but now, it was no longer necessary. "I know you're happy, but you can't be too happy," Gu Qingli reminded gently. "You're already a mother, so you can't be so impulsive, okay?" Mo Xian nodded her head, but she couldn't hide the excitement on her face. "I need to tell my parents about this as soon as possible so they can be happy. In that case, let's go home for dinner tonight," Mo Xian suggested. She had always fantasized about what it was like to be a parent. Although she had taken care of Xingzhe for a while, she wasn't satisfied. Now, she was going to have a little ball of her own. It was a wonderful feeling. Afterwards, Mo Xian gave Tangning a phone call, but she did not explain why. However, Tangning did not think too much about it. That night, when the couple returned to Hyatt Regency, Mo Xian was so happy that she almost forgot herself. This made Gu Qingli a little worried. "I told you not to be so impulsive and walk properly." As soon as Tangning saw the worried look on Gu Qingli's face, she could guess what was going on. So, before Mo Xian could respond, she asked, "Are you pregnant?" "Mommy, if your guess is so accurate, then there won't be any surprises. Your second brother is coming home tonight and you haven't met him yet. Let's take this opportunity to meet him." After all, they were both teachers, so they should be on the same page. Gu Qingli nodded his head. He was curious about the 2 older brothers and had wanted to get to know them for a long time, but he never had the chance. But Gu Qingli's gaze remained on Mo Xian the entire time. He knew that she would never forget that she was pregnant. Because of this, Tangning did not ask Mo Xian. Instead, she asked Gu Qingli, now that you have a child, what about the wedding? To tell you the truth, we registered our marriage 2 months ago. You're not holding a wedding. Tang Ning had not noticed how Gu Qingli addressed her. Xian said that her family hasn't held a wedding yet, so she doesn't want to waste her energy on it. After all, a happy marriage isn't about a ceremony, Gu Qingli replied gently. It seemed he was always like this, calm and gentle. After Tang Ning heard this, she nodded her head, since it's your choice, I won't say much. Xian is already pregnant, so as her husband, you should take good care of her. She may be capable, but she's not mature yet. She needs someone by her side to constantly guide her. I will definitely take good care of her. Don't worry, mother. Actually, Tang Ning had nothing to worry about. After all, Gu Qingli was mature and reliable, he took good care of everything. In the end, it was Xian's personality that needed to be improved. But Tang Ning couldn't be bothered to scold her. A little while later, Zichen returned home with Qianlan. Although he was a little surprised to see a stranger at home, he quickly regained his composure. After all, nothing could escape his eyes, including his brother-in-law. Oh, it's Professor Gu. As soon as Gu Qingli saw Zichen, he could tell that he wasn't an ordinary person. Especially his eyes, they seemed to be able to see through everything. Brother 2, Gu Qingli greeted Zichen according to seniority. Sister-in-law. As soon as Zian saw Qianlan, she immediately announced the good news, I'm pregnant. You're going to be an auntie, Zichen looked at Gu Qingli. He never expected them to be so fast. I heard that brother 2 is a physics professor. I heard that too. Brother-in-law is quite accomplished in many fields. The two exchanged pleasantries, but everyone knew that Gu Qingli was a professor to hide his true identity. I never thought that I was already so famous. A certain someone has been secretly in love with you for 4 years. Based on this, your name is no longer unfamiliar to the entire family, Zichen said as he glared at Zian. Zichen glared at Zian and said to Gu Qingli, I've heard about what happened to you. If it wasn't you and it was another man, I would have broken their legs. Zichen acknowledged Gu Qingli as a person. Gu Qingli started from scratch, kept a low profile, had a gentle temper and never messed around. Based on these qualities, he was definitely a good match for his spoiled sister. Brother 2, you're too kind. If you ever need my help in the future, just let me know. Apart from our parents, you're the best at making money in this house. Who knows, I might even be the one to benefit from it. Ever since Zichen revealed his identity to Zishi, it was no longer a secret at home. After all, he had already been promoted to a bureau chief, so his identity was no longer a secret. As a result, it had been a long time since he went to school. Brother 2, it's enough that you've been lying to us all these years. Don't you dare lie to brother 4 now, Zian said in a protective tone. He's now working for the national security. He's amazing. No wonder Zichen knew everything about him. It seemed, from the moment Zian started to have a crush on him, Zichen already knew everything about him. Of course, Zian came back to announce the good news. After all, pregnancy was a great thing, so everyone was naturally happy. Now that even Zian was about to become a mother, the burden on Tang Ning's shoulders was no longer as heavy as before. You've only been married for 2 months and you're already pregnant. It seems, you're really greedy for brother Xingzhe. Do you really like children that much? Zichen couldn't help but tease her. Or perhaps, now that you've gotten your brother-in-law, you're going to hurry up and have a child. Stop talking about me. Are you afraid that everyone doesn't know what you've been through? You waited for sister-in-law for 5 years and I waited for brother for 4 years. Let's not hurt each other. Now that you mention it, brother Xingzhe is quite pitiful. He missed out on 4 years and was tricked by others like an idiot. What, is tonight's theme a mutual attack? Tangning couldn't help but laugh. Mo Zichin also laughed. But, in the end, he said in a serious tone, Mom, we've made you worry all these years. Now that Yan Er is married, you don't need to worry about us anymore. Instead, place your attention on Dad. That way, we won't have to suffer too much. Let's wait until Yan Er safely gives birth to the baby. Since Tongning had given birth to 3 children, how could she let them go so easily? Indeed, Mo Ting didn't like it when she interfered with the children's matters. But, as a mother, how could she really let go? If the 3 of them didn't need her anymore, she would actually feel empty. That was something that no amount of love from Mo Ting could make up for. Chapter 1270. The night passed quickly. The next morning, Gu Qinglei took Mo Zian to the hospital for a thorough checkup. After all, they were parents for the first time, so the couple were a little excited. However, after the checkup, the couple sat down in the office and noticed the doctor furrowing his brows. You didn't prepare for pregnancy. You got pregnant by accident, right? Yes, Gu Qinglei replied. So, is there a problem? Under normal circumstances, we recommend that young couples get a full body checkup at the hospital before trying to have a child. That way, we can ensure the baby's health and find out if the parents have any illnesses. But both of us are considered healthy. That's not the case. Take your wife's ultrasound for example. Apart from finding an embryo, we also found a tumor in her womb, the doctor said as he pointed to the results of the ultrasound. As soon as they heard the word tumor, the couple were stunned. But, I don't think there's anything wrong with my body. A lot of illnesses show signs when they develop, but a lot of illnesses don't, the doctor explained. At the moment, we still need to do further tests to determine if the tumor is in this location. After all, the location of the tumor also affects the fetus. Right now, I just want to know if my wife's body. Don't worry, Mr. Gu. According to current medical standards, removing the tumor isn't a difficult task. Plus, the tumor may be benign, so you don't need to worry too much. But, we need to confirm the location of the tumor and whether there are any other lumps. So, we need to do a more detailed checkup on your wife. What about the child? Mo Zian couldn't help but ask. If we find out the location of the tumor and confirm that it could cause a miscarriage or premature birth, then you should consider aborting the child for treatment. After all, you're still young and have plenty of children in the future. When Mo Zian heard that she was going to have an abortion, she shook her head. This is my child. I don't want to give up on it. Mrs. Gu, we haven't reached the point where we need to make a decision yet. Don't be in such a rush. The couple never expected that letting nature take its course would be so scary. Gu Qinglei wrapped his arm around Mo Zian's waist and apologized. It's all my fault. If I had been more thorough, this wouldn't have happened. Fourth brother, I insist on letting nature take its course. What can you do to me? At the end of the day, it was my own willfulness. It's not that bad, Don't think too much about it. Let's treat him first, okay? But, listen to me, Gu Qinglei said gently. Mo Zian's mind was a mess. She never imagined that she would have a tumor in her body. She never noticed it before, but now that she had a child, I'm scared. You don't have to be afraid of anything, I'm here. Gu Qinglei encouraged Mo Zian. After today's examination, let's go home first. We'll wait for the doctor's results before deciding what to do. Mo Xian looked at Gu Qingli and took a deep breath before she calmed down. Listen to brother 4. It was just that such an accident had happened to such a joyous occasion out of nowhere. Naturally, both of their moods were affected. Of course, Gu Qingli was more worried about Mo Xian's health. Although he wanted to keep his child safe, the most important thing in his heart would always be his precious baby, Mo Xian. After returning home, Mo Xian returned to her bedroom and lay quietly in bed. Originally, Gu Qingli wanted to contact Tongning and Mo Ting, but Mo Xian stopped him. Before the results are out, don't tell mom yet. She'll be worried. Let's wait and see what the doctor says first. Silly, when something happens, you should tell your family. Mom and dad are experienced, they won't be easily scared. If you keep something like this from them, mom will think that you're immature. How could you hide something so important from them? Gu Qingli lectured gently. After Mo Xian heard this, she did not refute. After all, Gu Qingli was older than her and he was thorough. Since Gu Qingli thought that she should tell her family, then she would listen to him. After all, this man reassured her the most. So, she no longer tried to stop him. Gu Qingli patted Mo Xian on the head before he gave Tongning a phone call and told her the results of today's checkup. After Tongning heard everything, she immediately said to Gu Qingli, send her to the military hospital. We have a few doctors at home and none of them can treat her. It's just a minor illness. As for the other reason why Gu Qingli wanted to tell Tongning, it was because the Tang family not only had sister-in-law Yao Anqi, but they also had Tang Yichen and Lu Guangli. Their medical skills were outstanding and they had seen all kinds of illnesses before. Afterwards, Tongning gave Tang Yichen a phone call. After Mo Xian heard about what happened, she couldn't help but blame herself. I almost made the same mistake as a woman. How could you hide something from your family at a time like this for your own good? Ha! Even if it's torture, I'd rather know about your illness. Do you understand? Gu Qingli asked. Mo Xian nodded. How could she not understand? Soon, Mo Xian was sent to the hospital where Tang Yichen was staying. As soon as Tongning saw Gu Qingli, she praised him, you did well this time. Mommy, I was being silly, Mo Xian immediately apologized. I won't teach you a lesson now. After you recover, I'll deal with you. Soon after, Mo Xian was sent to the hospital for a checkup. Of course, as Tang Yichen's second auntie, she was even more devoted to her niece. As soon as she saw the results, she immediately gave Tongning the results. The previous hospital's diagnosis was accurate, but it was a little slow. The location of the tumor is confirmed to be between the muscle wall and will affect the pregnancy. Plus, we can't confirm whether the tumor is benign or malignant. I trust you. So, just tell me how I should resolve it, Tongning said to Tang Yichen. Let's observe the tumor for a week and do further tests. If the tumor doesn't show any signs of growing, we can rule out the possibility of it being malignant. After that, the treatment will be a lot easier. But, if there are any changes to the tumor, we will need to extract it for testing. The child, Xian loves children, so of course I'll do my best to keep it safe for her. Isn't that obvious? Tang Yichen laughed. Speaking of which, I haven't met my niece's husband yet. Qingli, come greet your auntie, Tongning said as she turned to the man behind her. Chapter 1271. This was Tang Yichen's first time meeting Gu Qingli. Normally, she didn't have much to say to this son-in-law. But, as soon as she laid eyes on him, she couldn't help but feel a little confused. She looked at Gu Qingli seriously and carefully. In fact, she didn't even hear Gu Qingli call out to her. Sister too. Tang Yichen immediately responded, I know Gu Qingli. However, her attitude was neither cold nor warm. Although Gu Qingli didn't know how he had offended Tang Yichen, he had no complaints. As long as Tang Yichen took good care of Mo Zian, he didn't care about anything else. Of course, Tang Ning also had a question in her mind, but she did not ask it on the spot. After all, Mo Zian was the most important thing right now. Since Tang Yichen said that Mo Zian would be under observation, it was best for Mo Zian to stay in the hospital and cooperate with the doctors. Originally, Mo Zian wanted to return Hai Rui to Mo Ting for a while. But Gu Qingli said to her, "Father has already handed it over to you, so there's no reason for you to return it. While you're in the hospital, I'll help you deal with some matters. Then, I'll show it to you and give you a reply after confirming it." "But, what about the school?" "I've applied for leave," Gu Qingli replied. "Right now, nothing is more important than you." Mo Zian nodded her head. But she still remembered Tang Yichen's reaction. "Brother 4, have you met Auntie before?" Gu Qingli carried Mo Zian into the VIP room and shook his head. "I don't think I've ever met Auntie before, so I'm not sure what misunderstandings Auntie has towards me. But there's no need to ask right now. Time will reveal a person's heart. I'm sure Auntie will find out what kind of person I am. Auntie is a straightforward person. She doesn't beat around the bush like Mom. So, if you've really offended Auntie, you can just talk to her and everything will be fine." Gu Qingli nodded his head. But he had his own doubts. At that moment, Tang Ning and Tang Yichen were discussing Mo Zian's health in the office. But Tang Ning also asked, "From the looks of it, do you know Gu Qingli from the past? Has he seen through me? Your emotions are written all over your face." "I'm afraid I'm not the only one who can tell you, my son-in-law," Tang Yichen glared. "If I tell you, don't be angry. Speak." "I think I've seen your son-in-law bring a girl to the hospital and visit the gynecology department. Because he was handsome, I could remember him. You know how I am. If I have something to say, I will say it. Although, if I say it out loud, it will definitely cause discomfort between the two of you. But I can't hold it in. In Zian's current situation, I don't want her to meet an irresponsible man. Okay, just focus on taking care of Zian." Tang Ning took these words to heart. In fact, this was something that had happened before Gu Qing's divorce. As his elders, it was impossible for them to pursue it. Regardless of whether what Tang Yichen saw was real or not, what if it was just a simple resemblance? Because of this, Tang Ning kept her doubts to herself. Afterwards, she headed to the hospital room to see what Mo Zian needed so she could go home and prepare. But, just as she reached the door, Gu Qingli said, "Mother, let me walk you out." Why would she need to send it off? Gu Qingli simply had something to ask. That was good too. "Let's go," Tang Ning said. Gu Qingli gestured for Mo Zian to wait for a while before he left the room and walked beside Tang Ning. "You noticed?" Tang Ning smiled. Auntie's expression was so obvious. "Not only did I notice, but Zian also noticed." Gu Qingli smiled gently. Gu Qingli smiled gently. "Although I'm not sure what Auntie misunderstood, I'm sure her impression of me is terrible." "Indeed, Qingli, as elders, it's not appropriate for us to comment on the matters of the young. Especially when it comes to your past, we have no right to interfere. But, I hope you can consider Yen Er's feelings. She needs you to take care of her." "Mother, although I don't know what Auntie saw or what she misunderstood, Zian was my first love. Although we haven't known each other for long and we haven't been married for long, I've always kept my distance from women. I've never crossed the line," Gu Qingli explained in seriousness. "If I had feelings in the past or was involved with another woman, there's no reason for me to hide it. That's all you need to know, Mother." After hearing this, Tang Ning nodded her head. Gu Qingli was actually quite patient. She trusted Gu Qingli and Tang Yichen. So, there must be some misunderstanding. In that case, have you been to this hospital before? Today was my first time, Gu Qingli replied. Okay, I understand, Tang Ning replied. Go home and take care of Yan Er. Nothing is more important than her and the child in her stomach right now. Okay. How smart was Gu Qingli? Since Tang Ning asked this question, it meant that Tang Yichen had seen him come to the hospital in the past with a woman. But, it was true that he hadn't been here. Tang Yichen must have seen it wrong or remembered it wrong. After thinking it through, Gu Qingli returned to the room to find Immerse asking, "What did mommy say?" Mother said that auntie was probably unhappy because she saw me come to the hospital with a woman, Gu Qingli explained. In that case, have you been here before? Immerse asked. Gu Qingli shook his head, of course not. You're well aware of my life over the past 4 years, aren't you? That's true. But... Gu Qingli dragged out his last syllable to express his confusion. I believe what auntie said. I don't know why, but she has no reason to slander me. Regardless, I believe in your character. Over the past few years, no one knows your situation better than I do. I'm glad you know. Get some rest. Gu Qingli helped Immerse lie down. Gu Qingli helped Immerse lie down. Either way, I'm worried that you're pregnant and sick. Don't worry, auntie and uncle's medical skills are very good. I'll be fine. Gu Qingli nodded his head and gestured for her to close her eyes. As for Tang Yichen, he still needed to meet her. Otherwise, if the misunderstanding continued and Xian got hurt, what would he do? So, after Xian fell asleep, Gu Qingli headed over to Tang Yichen's office. At that time, Tang Yichen was looking at some medical records. When she lifted her head and saw Gu Qingli, she immediately felt displeased with this son-in-law. Auntie, don't call me auntie yet. I haven't acknowledged you yet, Tang Yichen replied. Why are you looking for me? Chapter 1272. Gu Qingli sat down in front of Tang Yichen and paused for a moment before he said, I know you don't particularly like me and may even be prejudiced against me. Although I don't know what made you so angry, I hope I can have a word with you to clarify everything. Otherwise, Mother and Xian will be stuck in a difficult position. So you know how difficult it is, Tang Yichen humphed. Let me ask you, have you ever been to this hospital before? This is my first time here. But, I've clearly seen you bring a woman to the hospital for an abortion, Tang Yichen replied. It's because your looks aren't common, so I've remembered you. After hearing this, Gu Qingli felt a little helpless. In that case, auntie, do you remember what day it was? It wasn't long, no more than a year ago. Gu Qingli thought for a moment and said helplessly, Xian is my first and only girlfriend. I've always been a teacher at school and I've never had much contact with a woman. If I did, there's no way Xian wouldn't know. After all, she's already been observing me for 4 years. Are you saying that I'm seeing things? Tang Yichen asked as she raised an eyebrow. Auntie, if you've actually seen me at the hospital, then the hospital must have surveillance cameras and files. You might be able to find out. So, before that, you don't need to try and please me. That will only make me dislike you even more. Okay, Gu Qingli nodded. But, please take care of Xian. After speaking, Gu Qingli stood up and did not give Tang Yichen a chance to continue her annoyance. So, he did as he said. Even when Tang Yichen went to the hospital room to examine Xian, he did not say a word and remained silent the entire time. This made Tang Yichen feel a lot better. At the very least, Gu Qingli's patience wasn't bad. Of course, Tang Ning knew that once Tang Yichen became suspicious, she would definitely give her son-in-law a hard time. So, she reported this matter to Mo Ting and instructed Hai Rui to investigate whether Gu Qingli had any past affairs. Of course, the Mo family had their reasons to believe that Gu Qingli was innocent. But Tang Yichen had to believe it first. As soon as Mo Zichen heard about this, he did not give Hai Rui a chance to make a move. Instead, he handed Tang Ning a file. When I first found out Zian liked this person, I investigated it. You can show it to your auntie. Qingli is indeed worthy of our trust. Tang Ning received the information and looked through everything about Gu Qingli, including his childhood. At the same time, he finally understood why Mo Zian liked Gu Qingli. After all, he had suffered so much, but he still maintained such a gentle heart. So, it wasn't surprising that Mo Zian was attracted to him. This auntie of mine, she used to hate seeing you fight with Tang Xian, so she spent most of her time at the hospital. At that time, she refused to side with anyone. But, in the end, she still had the heart to fight for justice. Your auntie has been like this for the rest of her life, Tang Ning smiled. Then, she took the information and went to the hospital. But, at this time, Gu Qingli had already received a scolding from Tang Yichen. Her tone towards Gu Qingli had not been friendly the entire time, but Gu Qingli did not complain at all. It was hard to tell where he learned his patience from. Afterwards, Tang Ning arrived at the hospital and placed Gu Qingli's information in front of him. If you don't believe Qingli's explanation, you should at least believe in Hai Rui and Zichen's investigation. If Zichen didn't object, did you think you weren't seeing things? Tang Yichen took a deep breath and waited for quite some time before she finally opened up Gu Qingli's information and looked through it. So, this child has experienced something like this. That's why you need to be nicer to him. According to Qingli's wealth, he only has one woman, Zian. That's more than enough to keep himself clean. Tang Yichen sighed, nodded her head. Okay, actually, if she thought about it carefully, Gu Qingli's behavior from the beginning was a plus. He was meticulous towards Zian and respectful towards Tang Ning. As for her, even though her attitude was so bad, Gu Qingli did not show any signs of anger. So, after reading through Gu Qingli's information, Tang Yichen's impression of him changed. If you know you've wronged him, you should apologize to the youngsters. But, I actually saw it that day. People all look alike. How could you be so sure that it was Gu Qingli? Forget it. I was wrong in this matter. Is that okay? So, when it was time to do her rounds, Tang Yichen walked into Mo Zian's room and said to Gu Qingli, I've indeed misunderstood you. Gu Qingli shook his head. He didn't mind at all. Meanwhile, Mo Zian laughed, Auntie, I've been keeping track of Brother Four's whereabouts for the past 4 years. So, I'm the first to not believe that he's been in contact with another woman. Luckily, you trusted me enough. Otherwise, I would have become the villain that tried to sow discord. Brother Four wouldn't think of you that way, Mo Zian replied. By the way, how is my body? That's right. Auntie, how is Zian? With the mention of Zian's condition, Tang Yichen's expression turned a lot more serious. From the looks of it, the tumor has been growing, so, it's malignant. Gu Qingli immediately stood up. Let's observe it for another 2 days. If it continues to grow, you two need to be mentally prepared. You can't have a child. After hearing this, Mo Zian tightened her grip on the blanket as her eyes turned red. Auntie, do we really have to abort it? What do you think? You can always have another child, but you can't waste your body. I'm not giving you a choice, I'm simply informing you. Gu Qingli took this opportunity to hold on to Mo Zian's hand. Don't be afraid. Listen to your auntie, okay? Mo Zian took a deep breath. She simply couldn't bear to do it. After all, this was a life and it was her and Gu Qingli's child. Brother 4, you're a child of the Mo family. Can't you get over something as simple as this? Tang Yichen asked. Of course not. Mo Zian held on to Gu Qingli's hand. Auntie, I'm fine here. You can go back to work. Tang Yichen nodded her head. Since Gu Qingli was by her side, he should be able to comfort her. Fourth brother, can I really not protect the child? You're more important, Gu Qingli replied firmly. Chapter 1273. But, I want this child. I really want it, Mo Zian said in a sobbing tone. Gu Qingli hugged her and patted her on the back comfortingly. Let's listen to Auntie's decision. Mo Zian cried in Gu Qingli's arms for a while before she finally fell asleep from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Gu Qingli stayed by Mo Zian's side the entire night and did not get a wink of sleep. To make Mo Zian happy, he even gave her roommates a phone call and told them to visit her at the hospital. Mo Zian was happy to see them, but she was also sad. That's why you guys need to take care of your health and do more checkups. Don't be like me, only to find out, tui, what's wrong with you? Who's your auntie? Who's your uncle? In their eyes, this illness of yours is just child's play, okay? You're the only one that's sad. If you can't keep the child, then there's nothing you can do. Do you want your parents and Professor Gu to worry about you day and night before you're satisfied? Are you willing to do that? After hearing their advice, Mo Zian looked at Gu Qingli and shook her head. Of course I'm not willing. That's why you're holding on to something that doesn't make sense. That's true. Mo Zian felt a little better after hearing this. Most importantly, the people in front of her pointed out her worries. If she continued to wallow in self-pity, her family and brother 4 would be sad for a long time. So, she couldn't bear to do that. You're already an adult. Don't be stubborn, okay? What's so great about being the heiress of the Mo family? The three of them continued to criticize Mo Zian, but everything they said made sense. Mo Zian was indeed protected by her family, but because she was a member of the Mo family, she had to pull herself together. Mo Zian's mood completely changed because the girls didn't disappoint her. So, after they left, Gu Qingli laughed. So, Mom and I aren't as important as your roommates. I was just confused at first, but now that I've thought it through, I'll listen to Auntie. While no one was in the room, Gu Qingli reached out and hugged Mo Zian. I'm glad you're obedient. Because she had thought it through, Mo Zian was a lot more cooperative. But, after 2 days of tests, Tang Yichen received a more accurate answer. It's malignant. You need to prepare for surgery as soon as possible. After Mo Zian heard Tang Yichen say this, she sighed. Meanwhile, Gu Qingli hugged her and comforted. Zian will be fine, okay? I know, I can't bear it. It's good for you to have the surgery as soon as possible. I've already discussed it with your mother. Don't worry, you'll have another child in the future. Auntie, I'm fine, Mo Zian nodded and comforted Tang Yichen. After Mo. After, the Mo, the family, Tang, and Mo, Zian said. I, Mo Qingshan. Mo, the Mo, the Mo, were. Mo, Yao, Mo. 2. Mo said, Yao and 2. Tang, Mo to Tang, Anchin, ed, Mo. The initial recovery rate was very high, but whether or not it would relapse depended on how well she took care of it. Don't worry, your uncle will personally perform the surgery. There were a lot of people around during the day, so Mo Zian held in her emotions and did not explode. After everyone left, she sat on the hospital bed and began to cry. Gu Qingli had no choice but to carry her to the hospital garden for a walk. Why are you still sad? No matter what happens to you, I will take good care of you. Why are you still so sad? Do you not trust me? Mo Xian shook her head and turned to look at Gu Qingli. I'm still afraid, and I feel guilty towards the child in my stomach. I've heard about Uncle's medical skills. In all these years, he's never failed to save a patient. Plus, he's seen a lot of situations like yours. So, you don't need to be afraid. As for this child, she reported to the hospital early. Let's send her home first and let her report to the hospital again after you've recovered. What do you think? After hearing this, Mo Xian couldn't help but laugh. You've always been calm and collected. I've never seen you anxious before. I am anxious, Gu Qingli replied. But, no matter how anxious I am, I can't let you see me because I'm your pillar of support. Mo Xian stretched out her hand and patted Gu Qingli's tired face. Over the past few days, he had been exhausted. Mo Xian's heart ached, but to reassure Gu Qingli, she pulled herself together. The surgery was scheduled for 2 days later. The surgery was to terminate Mo Xian's pregnancy and remove the tumor. Meanwhile, apart from listening to Tang Yichen's instructions, Gu Qingli also hired a Chinese medicine specialist. He knew that with advanced technology, Mo Xian's life could be saved, but Western medicine was too harmful to the body. Plus, Mo Xian still needed Chinese medicine to recuperate. This was something that Tang Yichen had not told Gu Qingli yet. But, he went ahead and met with the specialist to come up with a treatment plan. This made Tang Yichen feel guilty. She had indeed misunderstood Gu Qingli and underestimated how important Mo Xian was to him. He even bought a lot of medical books and left them at home. He was willing to stop being a professor and focus on taking care of Mo Xian. For the sake of Mo Xian, Gu Qingli was willing to give up on his father's dying wish. Mo Xian watched silently as Gu Qingli worked hard over the past few days. But, all she could do was sit in bed and feel guilty. If she hadn't told Gu Qingli her heartfelt words on the day she left the university, perhaps, he would still be at the university and living his normal life and wouldn't be as tired as he was right now. But now, Gu Qingli was working hard for her, while she, Tangning, could see the emotions in her daughter's eyes. It was the same as the way she looked at Mo Ting. Qingli has treated you like this, so you need to love him well, okay? Mommy, don't worry. I will never leave brother for, Mo Xian replied confidently. I will always be by his side. Just like you and Dad, we will love each other for the rest of our lives. After hearing this, Tangning patted Mo Xian's cheek happily. Don't be afraid for tomorrow's surgery. We will all be there. Don't worry, I trust Uncle and I trust that I won't be that unlucky. Nonsense. But, what about Gu Qingli? Every time he looked into Mo Xian's eyes, his gaze was filled with love and trust. It was like he was saying, I've never regretted being with you, and that day will never come. Chapter 1274. The next morning, Mo Xian woke up early. Gu Qingli helped her prepare for the surgery and held on to her right hand the entire time. Don't be afraid, I'll be here the entire time. Not only did everyone from the Mo family arrive, even Mo Xian's roommates were present. Tang Yichen followed behind Lu Guangli. Meanwhile, Lu Guangli's expression remained cold. Obviously, if it wasn't a member of the Mo family, he wouldn't have accepted a surgery like this. But, all these years, he and Tang Yichen were like the Mo family's doctors. Whenever the Mo family felt unwell, they would look for Tang Yichen and Tang Yichen would grab him. This time, Mo Xian's illness was probably the most serious illness that he had treated for the Mo family in years. We're ready, Dr. Liu, the nurse in the operating room reminded them as she walked out of the door. Then let's go in. But, just as she was about to enter the operating theater, Mo Zichen and Mo Zishit approached Mo Zian to comfort her. Don't worry. Big brother and second brother are waiting for you outside. Don't be the most useless person in the Mo family, okay? Mo Zian smiled and looked for Gu Qingli. Wait for me to come out. I want to eat something good. What do you want to eat? I'll buy it for you. Fourth brother, it'll be fine. Trust me, Gu Qingli comforted her. Don't be afraid, okay? Zian, everyone is waiting for you. What is there to be afraid of? Her roommate also smiled at her. I'm still waiting for you to recover so that you can take us to the concert. Don't go back on your word. Don't worry, I won't, Mo Zian smiled. That's good. Mo Zian looked at the group and then at Tongning and Mo Ting. Knowing that everyone was present, she felt a little relieved. She then allowed Tang Yichen to push her into the operating theater. Actually, everyone could predict the result, but it was a pity for the baby. All these years, the Mo family had been doing well. But, Tongning never expected that Mo Zian's baby would be lost. But, nothing was more important than his daughter's life. As Gu Qingli sat on the bench in silence, Tongning approached him and patted him on the shoulder. Don't worry, trust in your uncle's medical skills. I know, mother. Mo Zian was in the operating theater for 2 hours while everyone waited outside. Although everyone trusted in Lu Guangli's medical skills, they still couldn't help but worry. Soon after, the lights in the operating theater went off, and Lu Guangli walked out of the operating theater. His expression was as cold as ever as he said, the tumor has been completely removed, so naturally, the embryo can't be left behind. In the next few years, we'll have to look at your body's condition to determine if you can have a child. You have to be mentally prepared. Brother-in-law. Zian's body. It's nothing serious. After saying this, Lu Guangli left. Tang Yichen was going to explain the rest to everyone. Actually, everyone expected this outcome. Unfortunately, no matter how much Mo Zian loves children, she couldn't have one in the short term. In fact, she might not even be able to have one in this lifetime. Qingli, can you accept this result? Mother, to me, Zian is more important. As for the rest, let nature take its course. There's no need to force it. That's good, Tongning relaxed when she saw Gu Qingli's attitude. A moment later, Mo Zian was wheeled out of the operating theater with Tang Yichen following behind. She said to everyone, don't worry too much. As long as she goes for regular checkups, there won't be any problems. Plus, Zian is still young and has a good recovery rate. She won't stay in the hospital for too long. Thank you, Auntie, Gu Qingli bowed to Tang Yichen. She's also my niece, why are you thanking me? As long as you take good care of Zian, you don't need to thank me. I'm not worried about Zian's health, I'm just worried about her mood. You guys should try to comfort her. Even if Tang Yichen didn't mention this, everyone would have noticed. Afterwards, Mo Zian stayed in the hospital for almost a month before she left. No one hid the fact that she couldn't have a child for the time being and she didn't take it to heart. But, Gu Qingli knew that she kept her sadness to herself. Because of this, Gu Qingli decisively resigned from his position as a professor and returned home to spend time with Mo Zian. He also focused on his research in Chinese medicine. After all, he knew that Mo Zian's body needed a long time to recover. From this time onwards, Mo Zian's body would occasionally emit the scent of medicine. At the same time, bottles and jars would often appear in their home. This made Mo Zian helpless. Brother 4, isn't it a little too late for you to invest in Chinese medicine? As long as I have the heart, it's never too late. Chinese medicine was gentle and took a long time to take effect, so it required Mo Xian's long-term cooperation. If he didn't accompany Mo Xian, it wouldn't be easy for her to persevere. Mo Xian smiled and let him be. She knew that Gu Qingli was simply worried about her health. Sometimes she would complain that the medicine was bitter, but as long as Gu Qingli said something, she would surrender. I simply hope that you won't end up like my father and can stay with me longer. As soon as Mo Xian heard this from Gu Qingli, she had no choice but to raise her hand. Fine, I can endure it no matter how bitter it is. Mo Xian never asked Gu Qingli if he was the one who prescribed the medicine or if there was a professional doctor. All she cared about was drinking. Over the course of 3 months, she only went to the hospital once for a checkup and her body actually recovered well. Tang Yichen couldn't help but sigh. I heard that Gu Qingli found the best Chinese medicine doctor for you. I never thought that the results would be so good. If you take care of yourself like this, who knows, maybe you'll get pregnant soon. Really? Mo Xian was pleasantly surprised. Your checkup report shows that you're doing well. Keep it up. Not only did Gu Qingli make Mo Xian take medicine, he also took her on a tour around the country. The couple lived their entire lives in the Mo family, but they ended up living carefree lives. As for the heavy responsibility of Hai Rui, Mo Ting had no choice but to take it back. After all, he only looked like he was in his early 40s, so Mo Xian was still carefree for a few more years. Over the course of a year, Mo Xian was taken care of by Gu Qingli until she was chubby and healthy. Even so, Gu Qingli did not insist on having a child. Even though, Tang Yichen was surprised to find out during a recent checkup that Mo Xian's uterus had improved a lot and she was able to get pregnant, Gu Qingli did not mention this to Mo Xian. However, Gu Qingli did not tell Mo Xian about this. He simply hoped that Mo Xian would always be as happy as she was now. Soon, news arrived from Beijing that Mo Ting was planning to hold a wedding, so he told Gu Qingli to take Mo Xian home as soon as possible. As soon as Mo Xian heard this, she was elated. Mom and Dad have been married for so many years, but they've never held a wedding. Now, Dad is finally planning to make up for this regret with Mom. Chapter 1275. So, Tang Ning and Mo Ting were actually getting married. The couple's relationship was a well-known story in the industry. However, the couple kept a low profile and rarely showed their affection in public. So, this time, Mo Ting decided to give Tang Ning a grand wedding. In total, the couple were in their early 50s. But, because they took good care of themselves, they only looked like they were in their 40s. Even now, Tang Ning's figure was something that not many people her age could compare to. At that time, everyone in the Mo family was busy preparing for Tang Ning and Mo Ting's wedding. Of course, Mo Xian was an exception. After wandering around for an entire year, Mo Xian finally returned to Beijing. As soon as she saw her family, Mo Xichen couldn't help but laugh. The Mo family all have fair skin. Look at yourself, you're tanned. You don't look like a member of the Mo family at all. Brother too, we haven't seen each other for a year. Can't you give in to me a little? Why are you always so mean when you see me? Seeing the siblings bickering, Gu Qingli approached Tang Ning and Mo Ting and greeted, "Father, Mother. It's good that you're back. By the way, how's Xian doing?" Tang Ning asked. The doctor said that the chances of her relapse are very low. Plus, she's recovering well, Gu Qingli replied. Mommy, it's all because of Brother Four's medicine, Mo Xian praised. Mo Xian couldn't help but praise Mo Xian. Actually, before I came back, I always thought the medicine he gave me was prescribed by the doctor. But, a few days ago, I went to my auntie for a checkup. That's when I found out that he made the medicine himself. Qingli, mother, don't worry. I only dared to do this because of the doctor's guidance, Qingli explained. I would never joke around with Xian's health. That's good. Mo Xian looked proud and her complexion looked even better than before. This was proof that Gu Qingli had taken good care of her. Her face was rosy and her teeth were white. With this complexion, no one would believe that Mo Xian was still sick. However, because they were afraid of upsetting Mo Xian, Mo Zishi and Mo Zichen did not bring their son with them. But Mo Xian continued to look for Xingzhe. Where's my precious nephew? Mo Zishi glared at her and realized she didn't understand his good intentions at all. At home, I didn't bring it with me. I was afraid you wouldn't let go of my son. Big brother, you're really petty. You bit me. Actually, the entire family was careful and considerate of Mo Xian's feelings. Although Mo Xian tried her best to act like she didn't care, everyone knew how sad she was that she couldn't have children for the time being. Gu Qingli pulled Mo Xian into his arms and lectured, Big brother just doesn't want you to be sad. Why do you have to ruin my plans? Because we don't have children. Hee hee, Auntie already said that my body is fine and I can get pregnant. Just you wait, I will definitely get pregnant as soon as possible. Brother-in-law, catch him and teach him a lesson. You've really spoiled him. Mo Zishi couldn't help but snort. That's enough. Today's main characters are Mom and Dad, Yao Anqi reminded Mo Zishi. That's right. No matter how big the situation is, the two of you need to step aside, Qianlong agreed. The siblings laughed and turned to look at Tongning and Mo Ting. Mommy, I heard that Dad personally made your wedding dress. Why don't you let me take a look? Tongning glared at Mo Xian, but she did not reject. Come up. The mother and daughter went upstairs and entered the bedroom. When they saw the handmade diamond wedding dress hanging in Tongning's bedroom, they looked at it enviously. Mommy. Dad can actually make something like this. It's a little simple, but I can imagine how serious he looks when he places the diamonds one by one into the dress. He learned it behind my back, Tongning replied. After hearing this, Mo Xian was so moved that her eyes turned red. It's because Dad really loves you. Tongning knew. She had known it from the moment they got married. When she thought about how they had arranged their wedding at the Civil Affairs Office, Tongning couldn't help but laugh. Even though it had been a long time, she still remembered how brave she was to kidnap the CEO of Hai Rui and arrange their wedding. Mommy, I really want to see you in your wedding dress. Wasn't that simple? In 2 days, Tongning and Mo Ting's wedding of the century would be held. This time, Mo Ting did not limit himself to the media and entertainment reporters. He wanted everyone in the city to know how much he doted on Tongning. On the day of the wedding, the entire city was in an uproar. Whether it was within or outside of the entertainment industry, everyone was talking about their wedding. The wedding was held by the seaside with flowers as a backdrop. Today, everyone in the city would be able to see Mo Ting in his white suit and Tongning in her wedding dress. Mommy, you're really beautiful. As soon as Mo Xian saw Tongning in her wedding dress, her eyes turned red. I'm sure Dad won't be able to control himself if he sees this. Tongning held on to her veil as she looked at Mo Xian and hugged her. The three of you need to be happy too. That way, Mom and Dad won't have to worry. Okay, Mommy, Mo Xian said as she patted Tongning on the back. She then extricated herself from Tongning's embrace and helped her adjust her dress. Get ready, it's almost time to go on stage. At this moment, Tongning no longer cared about her children. She was looking forward to seeing Mo Ting in his white suit. The man that she loved the most, the person that she loved the most. At this moment, the sky was blue and the clouds were white. A gentle breeze blew past and the air was filled with the scent of roses. At this moment, the wedding march began to play. Tangning wore her veil as she walked through the arch of flowers and stood at one end of the carpet. At the other end, Ting was dressed in a white striped suit. His body was tall and sturdy, it hadn't changed over the years. He exuded a noble and extraordinary aura. Afterwards, he slowly walked over to Tangning, held her hand and placed it in the crook of his arm. "Mrs. Mo, you may have to work hard for this marriage for the rest of your life." Tangning looked through her veil and saw Ting's eyes. As expected, they were slightly red. "We're already an old married couple, why are you still so emotional?" "That's because I still want to dote on you for another 50 years. Not too far away, the 3 pairs of children watched their parents' wedding and felt satisfied. Who wouldn't be envious of a love like this? However, under this atmosphere, Zichen couldn't help but cause trouble for Zian. "Look at you, you've been gone for over a year. Who's going to shoulder the burden of Hai Rui? Brother too, what's so good about being a division chief? Hai Rui was handed to you to begin with," Zichen emphasized. "I'm going back on my word. I just can't get tired. How about this, if you can give me a nephew, I'll consider quitting my division chief position and replacing you as the CEO of Hai Rui," Zichen promised. "Are you serious?" Zian's eyes lit up. Over the next few years, who said that Zian couldn't give birth? Her frequency of having one per year was way too high, okay? End of the article. Trial Husband, Do Wealth will continue to be updated on Qingdao Novel website. There are no advertisements on the website, so please bookmark it and recommend it to us. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.